So you actually like get
yeah,
that?
we see it.
Actually,
Yeah, and even like sadder cases of people that have had miscarriages, so we have little fetuses, so we see that, and then we have to cut it up and then just dissect it and then see what's wrong with so we get random stuff. Eyeballs, we've got full eyeballs. I've got a foot one, so it'll get anything you could imagine we've got.
Really?
And I think this is the problem they have at uni, so they're not really speaking to people, to the students. Like at uni, I didn't really have a careers advisor to tell me what this job would entail. I mean, I think at college they need to do that, so then you know what to actually study at university.
Absolutely. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another career plug series and I'm here with my beautiful friend Chrissy. As you guys know, I have been interviewing some successful black people in their field to find out a bit more about their sector, what they do on a day-to-day, and to kind of give an insight into their career journey. Hopefully to inspire you guys if you want to go through similar paths, or if you're in a bit of a career limbo and not quite sure what you want to do next. And particularly if you are just finishing university and you are sort of having a think about what your next steps might be, this is the series for you. So I'm here with Chrissy, who she has a background in biomedical science. Yep. So I'm going to ask her some questions about her day-to-day, and yeah, we'll just get straight into it. So Chrissy, what is your current job title and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so basically my job title is a biomedical scientist, and I've been doing it since I graduated 10 years ago. So all my career, basically, all my adult career.
So did you do that like literally straight from uni into
Straight from uni, I just became a biomedical scientist straight away.
Wow, okay. So do you feel then in that case that having that, so did you have a biomedical science degree?
I did, yes. I had studied biomedical science, so it was very straightforward and very easy. So I know with a lot of careers, you do something and then you move on to another field, but with mine it was very direct. I kind of knew where it was going. I had training during my course as well, so I was very well prepared to start working straight away from day one, really.
So it sounds like it's one of those degrees that pretty much like you do it and then you, from doing the degree, you almost specialise in it, and then you go straight into it.
Exactly.
That's good for people to know, because I suppose there's like a lot of degrees that aren't really like that.
Yeah, they even have what you call a portfolio, which you can do during uni, and you specialise in a specific field, which I didn't do. I did that as soon as I left uni when I got my first job. So I did that for a year, done the portfolio, and then became a registered biomedical scientist.
Oh, wow.
But some people do that during uni and they take a year off. You know, you do the sandwich course and they just work in the hospital and they take that year off and become registered.
Oh, so you did it on the job?
I just did it on the job in the first year, and I thought that was better because I'm getting paid a decent amount of money that way as well.
Yeah.
Rather than just taking a year out.
So what does a day in the life of a biomedical scientist look like? Like what's your day-to-day responsibilities like?
Yeah, so basically in my field, what I specialised in is mainly the diagnosis of cancer. Wow. So we receive a lot of specimens from surgery. The main sort of specimens that we receive would be biopsies. So it's like really, really tiny sort of human like tissue from inside the body that could be less than a millimetre. But they use surgical instruments to just get it out, like the liver, the brain, the breast tissue, anywhere they suspect there will be cancer. Take it out, and our job is to actually just process it. So it comes in from surgery into the lab, and then our job is to take it through a series of chemicals, and then sort of test it so that we know what's wrong with the person, and then sort of give it to the doctors so they can further diagnose what is wrong with the person, and they can look at the cells in a slide and then diagnose that person whether they have the cancer or not, or any other diseases.
I did not know this. I didn't even know that. Like, obviously, like I know about like diagnosis, but I didn't know like what happens in the background.
Yeah, that's what we do. And it's not just cancer; it could be all sorts of diseases. Like you have your gallbladder removed sometimes. So we'll test that just to make sure everything's okay. People that have their tonsils taken out, that will come through to us.
So you actually like get that?
We see it. Yeah, and even like sadder cases of people that have had miscarriages, so we have little fetuses, so we see that, and then we have to cut it up and then just dissect it and then see what's wrong with so we get random stuff. Eyeballs, we've got full eyeballs. I've got a foot one, so it'll get anything you could imagine we've got.
Really?
So different parts of the body, basically. Someone has to do it.
Guys, this is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm like genuinely fascinated.
I've told you briefly, but I'm not going into so much detail.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed doing these interviews because obviously pretty much everyone I've been interviewing are my friends, which is fantastic because it's amazing that all my friends are doing so well. But also like I've got to like learn more about all of you lot's day-to-day like responsibilities more, because I know what you guys do, but then in terms of hearing the intricate details of what you do, I never knew that you actually like look at actual like human bits. So that actually brings me on to my next question. So like what kind of like personality traits and skills would you say someone needs to be able to thrive in that sort of environment?
I think so someone explaining and describing this like job to you, like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting, interesting. But if you think about it in detail, it's actually a very monotonous job and it's very repetitive.
Right.
So been doing it for I think most jobs, to be honest, after doing it for a while like that. But I think after the first year, it's like I could basically do the job with my eyes closed. Because I come in and it's just get the samples, put it on a machine. It's very just routine. I mean, take it out, test it, do some staining, give it to the next person. It's just everything is the same. So I think you have to be the kind of person that kind of is just doesn't really need change, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, so it can be a bit boring and it can also be a bit depressing because you're dealing with people that are dying. So you have to kind of just not let things like bother you too much and just...
If you like very thick skin.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is, exactly. You have very thick skin.
Yeah, did not know this, guys. Okay, so was that always the direction you wanted to go? Did you always want to do that?
No, to be honest, I've always like loved science, and I've always been good at science from a young age. So I think when I was like at secondary school, I kind of wanted to become a doctor, but then, to be honest, my A-levels weren't as good as what I thought. So what my teachers advised was do biomedical science, study this, and then when you finish, do like a short course of medicine. But to be honest, after I'd finished the degree, I'd had enough. I couldn't,
really?
I just couldn't do medicine after that. I think I just had enough, and I didn't really enjoy the whole learning experience. I just don't think I could do any more learning. I was ready to start making money and start my life. I didn't want to go back to uni and do another 4 or 5 years. It just wasn't for me.
Fair enough. But it's good that option was there, though.
Yeah,
it's good that the option was there, that you could pivot into that direction.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, well, not a lot, 1 or 2 of my friends did do that. So after the first biomedical science degree, they've gone on to do medicine and they're doctors now, and they're happy.
Okay.
So it depends what you want.
Is there other kind of like paths you can pivot to with a biomedical science degree, or is it typically just medicine and then like what you do?
No, you could do research, which is very similar to what I'm doing, but instead of like diagnosing diseases, you're researching. For example, the whole COVID situation now is a very good example how there's a lot of researchers doing trying to figure out a cure and do the vaccines. I mean, a lot of biomedical scientists will be doing that. You can do anything really, to be honest. You can even get into IT if you do it straight away. It's still very versatile because it's a science degree and it's quite a technical degree. So I think if you start from when you first graduated, you can kind of pivot into anything you want.
That's really good. Yeah. It's good to know that it's like very transferable and stuff.
Yeah.
So what does like a standard kind of progression path look like for a biomedical scientist? So I know you spoke about that you could pivot into different things, but with what you're doing, like what do you...
University, you kind of choose what you want to specialise in, whether it's what I'm doing, which is histology, whether it's a virology, which will be the study of viruses, which is very important now with the whole COVID stuff going on. They'll specialise in that. Microbiology. So there's different parts of biomedical science that you specialise in, and then you kind of choose that during uni. You do your portfolio for the year, which is what most people do. So they go away to hospital and then they train you for that whole year for free. You don't get paid. But then at the end of it, you're qualified. So then you just get a job as a biomedical scientist and you're working basically, and that's it.
Okay, so you stay...
That's pretty much the path.
Okay, so how does someone... So if someone wanted to like... You know how you have certain jobs and it's like, oh, you start off as like a trainee, let's say, then you become like a specialist, and then you become like a manager, or then is it the same in biomedical science, or is it typically just like...
No, so as I said, when you're doing a portfolio, that training year, when you're choosing what to specialise in, that you're classed as a trainee biomedical scientist, and when you're finished, you're a biomedical scientist. And there's another portfolio you can do, which I've chosen not to do, or you can do a master's as well, and then after you've done them two, you become a specialist biomedical scientist. Okay. You get a little bit more money for that. And then if you want to go on to manage a lab, then you can become a senior. So you have to apply for that after you've had your master's and you've done your specialist portfolio. Mm-hmm. So then you become a senior, and then after you become a senior, it's kind of a natural progression to go on to become a manager.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay, but you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that. No, yeah.
Okay. So there's still ways of earning more money within the field, even if you don't want to necessarily become a manager. Yeah. Because you have certain jobs where it's like, unless you become a manager, you're not earning no more money. Yeah. And not everybody wants to do that.
To be honest, because it's a government job and we're working in hospitals as NHS, there is a pay grade. So to be honest, unless you kind of want to progress and become a senior or manager, you're going to kind of stay on the same salary. Unfortunately, that's the negative thing about my career.
NHS grades.
Yeah, because of the grades. So it starts at band 5, and then that's the biomedical scientist basically, and you stay on that salary until you become a specialist, which is band 6. A senior is band 7, and a manager is band 8. Okay. So if you don't go, you can't get any more money, unfortunately.
So, what about like if you was to contract? 'Cause I think you contracted for some time, didn't you?
Because that's one of the reasons I chose contracts. I thought I'm not really willing to do a masters. I don't want to do my specialist. I just didn't want to. Really, as bad as it sounds, I just didn't want to do any more learning.
Yeah.
So I thought with the contracting, you're getting that much more money. You're getting probably what band 8 would get, but then you're not doing their work, and you're just coming in and just being a biomedical scientist.
Yeah.
And when I work with people, I'm like, why? I used to wonder, like, why is more people not doing this?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different because people have different career goals. People want to progress in their field, and with contracting, obviously, you're not guaranteed a job all the time, so it is a bit risky. But for me, it's just like was a no-brainer because I'm not going to go all through that masters and doing more work just to get that more money when I could just literally
contract and get it.
So, yeah.
So what are the positive and negatives of contracting? Do you get, because with contracting you might not get like the same entitlement or benefits?
Yes, of course. So you don't get that maternity leave. Maternity pay. You obviously get the leave if you want to leave, but you don't get the pay because NHS is actually one of the best maternity pays, which I missed out on unfortunately with my son. So I think you get this statutory maternity pay. You don't get any holiday or sick pay either. So yeah, there's a few negatives, but then I think it outweighs by far because of course you get so much more money.
I was going to say, because you're earning like more money, so you could kind of like, I guess, save ahead for those things.
Yeah, you could save ahead.
Cool. And what for you do you feel like most fulfilling parts of being a biomedical scientist for you?
That's a good question. The best part about it, I think, is the people that I work with, because in general, it's quite a female-orientated environment.
That's one of my next questions.
And I think I just enjoy working with women in general. It's just like working with sisters. Because I don't have any sisters, it's just nice to have just friendly banter. And people that work in my sort of circle as well tend to be just nice, caring people. And I think you have to be to enter like a healthcare field. So I think that's one of the positives. And also, although I said I don't like learning, I think just being in a science environment and just being with people that are really quite clever is just very rewarding as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. And what are the most challenging parts of the job? Like for people who perhaps maybe they're considering going down this path, like what sort of things do you think that they need to be aware of?
Yeah, as I discussed just now, it's the money for me. I think that just similar to nurses as well, I think that they just deserve more, biomedical scientists deserve more money. Someone that's on a permanent like sort of contract, because they're working so hard and they have such a lot of responsibilities. That's one of the negatives. I'd say another one is just the nature of the job and the fact that it's just quite a negative experience in dealing with death and just the whole thing of, even with death of children and just stuff like that. It's just not a nice experience.
Yeah, so you have to be someone that can kind of like be almost tunnel vision.
Yeah, very tunnel vision, 100%.
Cool. From your experience, are there a lot of black people within the biomedical sciences
I
field?
wouldn't say a lot. I think no, I'd say no. Definitely a minority, and there's been places where I've come and worked, and I'm the only black person, for example. So yeah, that answers your question. No, but tends to be a lot of Asians and other ethnics in general in my field, but no, not a lot of blacks, unfortunately. No.
And I think you said before that there's like predominantly quite a lot of women. Is that just across biomedical science or within that like healthcare space in general?
I think in healthcare in general, there's just a lot of women, because even in my course at uni, where we had like a lot of the healthcare students we sort of merged our lectures together. It was mostly girls that I was with. There was not many, I literally could just point out the guys in the lecture theatre. So I think in general, the healthcare just has a lot of women in general. That's just how it is.
Okay. And like, do you feel like you've made any mistakes along the way within your career? And if you have, what advice would you give to people to avoid the same things?
That's a really good question. I don't think I've made any mistakes. I think that the only thing I would have done is started to contract a lot earlier. I think that's the only thing, because I waited 4 or 5 years before I started. But I just wish I'd done it sooner. And I think I just would have been happier, because I like moving around in general and just meeting new people. So I think it's just suited me better in terms of the career. But yeah, in terms of like even becoming a biomedical scientist, I mean, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have studied this course, because as I said, the only reason I've done it is because I wanted to do medicine.
Right.
But I just wish I'd gone back and just really thought about a job that I could see myself doing long term and something that I would enjoy. And I think this is the problem they have at uni, so they're not really speaking to people, to the students. Like at uni, I didn't really have a careers advisor to just tell me what this job would entail. I mean, I think at college they need to do that, so then you know what to actually study at university.
Absolutely.
So I didn't have that, and I just didn't know what the job was going to be about. I just thought, okay, science, I like science, I'm good at it, let me just do something to do with science. But that's not the right sort of decision to make.
Yeah,
because of that.
especially because it's like a big life decision in terms of the career you go into.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're right. I don't think university or college can truly prepare you for the real world and real working life.
That's the problem.
But yeah, so that's why we're doing this, so like you guys can watch it and learn from some of our mistakes.
That's good.
Cool. And what do you feel like has been the highlight of your career so far?
I think definitely when I started contracting, because I just think I was just more happier. Because I think before then I just wasn't really enjoying my job. To be honest, I still really don't enjoy the job. It's not something that I look forward to every day when I go in, but I think it's just more bearable when I can move around and stuff. So I think definitely the highlight of just starting contracting, getting a bit more money, and just meeting new people and learning a lot as well through that experience.
That's good. That's just actually one of my questions in terms of like, do you continuously learn throughout the job? Or because I know before you were saying that it was quite monotonous.
Yeah.
So is there kind of like almost like a ceiling where you just kind of stop learning anything new, or do you continuously actually learn and grow?
Actually, part of being a registered biomedical scientist is you have a folder where they randomly choose someone every year, and as a registered biomedical scientist, you're supposed to have what they call CPD, which is continuing professional development. So funny enough, I've been picked twice now. And I have some people that have never been picked and they've been in the job for like 30 or 40 years. So I'm very lucky. So they look through it. So you are supposed to like read through journals. You're supposed to give lectures. You're supposed to, like, in most labs, there'll be like a lecture, maybe a month of someone giving something, whether it be a doctor or a fellow biomedical scientist. So we do a lot of learning in terms of that. People from other companies tend to come to the hospital and just teach us about new techniques in terms of science and the developing world and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very, in terms of that, that's more of an interesting learning when you're not going looking in a textbook. That's the kind of learning I don't like. But learning where it just comes naturally and it's helping you in your everyday work life, I like that sort of learning. So yeah, you definitely have to do that.
No, that's good. And I suppose my last question would be like, what tips would you give to somebody coming fresh out of uni, about to kind of embark on the same path as you, or maybe someone that perhaps they're not even in uni, or like they're just thinking of starting your career path? What would you have liked to have heard back then?
Well, I would, the first question they need to ask themselves, I think, is why do they want to do this subject and why do they want to do this course? And I would really advise them. Well, this video is really good because obviously I've given a lot of information about this career. But I would actually maybe go to reach out and try and speak to someone that does the job through university, through college. I'm sure they can connect you, and just maybe speak to them, or even like spend a day or a week with them, shadowing them and seeing what they're doing, so you can really know and pinpoint, what the job entails and what it's about, and that will really be able to make you envision whether you can actually do it in the future. That's my best advice. I think
that's like the common thing that's come up every time I've asked this question. Like, I think everybody feels the same way. I feel like you should try and like reach out to people. It wasn't even something I even considered back then.
I didn't really.
Because a lot of the time, like, you kind of, like I keep saying in all the videos, like, people glamorize jobs. I think we all did that, especially after uni. Like, oh, I want to do this job. It sounds good, or it pays this much money, or it does this. And then until you're actually on the job, you're just like, what have I signed up for, sort of thing. So I think it is important, like, if people have the opportunity to reach out to people. LinkedIn is brilliant. We didn't have that back then. 100%. So I think people should be utilising that so much. Like, reach out to people who have those job titles, ask them what it's really like on a day-to-day, and get that insight, because it can really save you like wasting years in a career path that you really don't want.
100%, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Chrissy. Thank you for coming on my channel. I've learnt so much, and I'm sure you guys have as well. If you've got questions for Chrissy specifically about her field, or anything that she might have said that you might want a bit more kind of insight on, please leave your comments below in the comment section and I will ask her for you. Make sure you stay tuned for another episode of the Career Plug series, and I'll see you guys in my next video.